Hello. Well, our exceptional days continue with Greater Melbourne area, Mitchell Shire being in this state of lockdown. Some talk even of further restrictions needing to be brought in place to restrict the spread of the coronavirus. Something that is so microscopic but seems to have such a resolute capacity to penetrate through human populations. I suspect this is very discouraging to many of us. Just when there seemed to be an opportunity of climbing over the hill, seeing a more distant horizon, things have suddenly been brought back to the close frame of what we can do, our church worship, not possible as it was even the limited way a few weeks ago. Really just the online and streaming opportunities are available to us now. So I can understand that the discouragement that readily comes out of our hearts. But I wanted to just open up a little bit this morning the whole sense of Christian longing, because it occurs through various spiritual writers. Famously, St. Augustine speaks about God having created us and the restlessness within our heart that exists until we can find our rest with God. But I think that we all know something of that sense of longing, looking for perhaps even a further horizon, a more distant horizon, looking for something which is different, and imagining what that different thing is like, and then because of that feeling somehow uncomfortable in our present circumstances. And I think in many of the spiritual writers this feeling is able to be turned to an understanding of our relationship to God. Just as we don't give up on the sense of a hope of something different, of the horizon that lies beyond us, so we can learn from that God doesn't give up on us, even if we seem to have been quite active in removing ourselves from God's sight. Because of course we are never invisible to God, but we can sometimes have the feeling that we are acting invisibly outside of the awareness of God's attention on us. And there's something about this sense of longing which tells us about how our prayer can be. Our prayer that can be resolute and determined and looking towards God's promises, even if our present circumstances don't seem to be conducive to that experience. So as you experience these current events, and what I think is the natural propensity for disappointment, discouragement, for feeling that there is almost like this irrational conspiracy against our abilities and freedom caused by this virus, that you would use this opportunity in some refreshing way to consider what it means to be a Christian person, a follower of Jesus, one who prays, one who in your own experience can just not let that feeling of discouragement weigh so heavily upon you that it cuts off your vision of these other promises, but someone who can use those experiences as something of a stepping off point. And we all will have a little bit more uninterrupted time, depending on how we're using social media or other things, but we have the opportunity of some great opportunities of uninterrupted and reflective time. So I'd encourage you to use those for good at this time. I think we're seeing a lot of things in the life of our community that are very encouraging. The sacrificial commitment of frontline workers, for whom it must be also very discouraging and intimidating to have to go into difficult situations. We've seen our leaders having to confront difficult decisions about how our freedoms in the community can operate in this time of the coronavirus. So many things that you may be experiencing in your own personal life, even in your own professional or other responsibilities. The experience of the uncertainty of where children might be able to return to school or not, what the homeschooling experience will be like. And so many things that could easily feel a bit heavy and discouraging. But then I've also heard people saying, well, look, we've actually been through some of this before. This gives us some confidence and strength that we can face these challenges, even harder challenges, into the future. So there is a matter of perspective and a matter of how we approach difficult, discouraging and challenging situations. But bless you as you continue in your Christian journey, because in that Christian journey you are enabled to be a leader amongst other Christians. And so as your heart and your mind experiences some of these difficult circumstances, use it as a springboard for reflection, understanding of the greater promises of God, and let your prayer be more determined and consistent and resolute. May the Lord Jesus bless you, keep you, watch over you and protect you this day and evermore. Amen.